Hello, I am Tarah Wheeler Van Vlack, and this is Tarah Talks for this week. This week is, let me see, sooner or later I've got to figure out how to do slides in Google Hangouts. This week we have what not to wear to a tech interview. And go ahead and ask me questions and follow me more on Twitter at @Tarah. Again, my name is Tarah Wheeler Van Vlack. I am the CEO of Fizzmint, which is an HR automation company here in Seattle. I'm one of the co-founders and a board member for Hack the People, which is the world's largest tech mentorship initiative. I take tech mentorship very seriously, and I want you all to think of me as one of your mentors by the time we're done today. I broadcast every Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. You can also see all the past and future Tarah Talks at thetarah.com/Tarah Talks. I'm going to talk for about 15 minutes. You can see the little Q&A application in this Hangout, and you can use it to ask questions at any point from now on and vote on the questions you want to see answered. All right, let us jump back over here. So, what not to wear to tech interviews? This is probably the single most sensitive issue that I see people asking questions about, opining about on the internet, and absolutely shredding others for having an incorrect opinion. This is one of those start a flame war kind of situations where people, they believe that the clothing that they're choosing has a great deal to do with their political statements, with their persona, and with a lot of things that people don't necessarily want to see changed about themselves. So what's the problem with this? The way you're supposed to dress for a tech interview is intended to get you the job while not deeply compromising your personal modesty and whatever it is that you would choose to wear at that job from that point forth. There's nothing else that you need to worry about. A question about whether or not a skirt is appropriate for a woman to wear is something that we're going to talk about here, but it's actually something that got me absolutely killed on the internet about 2 years ago. So let's get started on this, what not to wear, and I'll give you a couple tips on what to wear as well. First, I'm going to talk about your first impression and what you don't do in order to make a good one. Second, we'll talk about the political, the personal, and the psychological aspects of dress when it comes to whether or not you're changing yourself to look like you're someone different than you are. Third, I'll tell you how to find the kinds of clothing that you might want or need to wear inexpensively. And fourth, we'll talk about what to wear and how to put it all together. So first of all, your first impression. You don't want to have people remember what it is that you were wearing. That's the basic guideline that you should have all the way through planning your outfits for any kind of an interview situation. First, make sure you've tried everything on in advance, because one of the biggest don'ts is don't have ill-fitting clothing. I know it's tough when you're in a situation where you're looking for a job and you don't have any money, but there's a way to make sure that your clothes both fit and that they look professional for probably under $20 for any technical interview outfit. And I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. When I say don't wear anything noticeable, what I mean by that is, this is where I'm going to start getting into trouble, because this is, again, my opinion. And yet at the same time, I have been through a lot of interviews successfully, and I've run a lot of interviews. And they're most successful when you have no idea what it was the other person was wearing, when you walk out of the room, even a couple of minutes later. So what is it that you are doing that could be considered noticeable? I don't know. You should ask your friends and your family, and if they are aware of your personal style, they may be able to give you some clues, some help. Don't wear purple. I mean, there's a thought for you. Don't wear purple. Don't wear bright colors. Don't wear neons. You're trying to be a professional here. And if I can remember what it was that you were wearing when I leave the room, or even later on when I'm doing your evaluation, that's a fail on interview dressing. There's a good reason why I wear black almost every day. It's not just that I happen to think I look good in it. It's also because it always matches, and no one ever remembers what I was wearing besides, well, she was probably wearing something dark. If you do that, you are in a position to let your brains and your skills and your personality and your intellect shine through whatever it is that is on the outside. The unfortunate truth is that you've got about 10 seconds to make a good first impression with someone, and that will govern the way that the rest of your interaction goes with them. If in that first 10 seconds you haven't struck them with your ability to make eye contact, with your firm handshake, and your big smile on your face, and instead you've struck them with what it is that you're wearing, perhaps a too short mini skirt or pants that are hemmed too highly or too lowly, that's the thing that's going to stick in their mind. So the idea is Just don't be noticeable when it comes to your clothing. Everything else about you should shine except for your shoes. Okay, well, not literally, but no sequins. I can remember a time when I gave some critique to a woman who was wearing an outfit that had, it was black on the bottom. It was running just exactly like this. It was black on the bottom from here down, just a jacket, and then the shoulder area up here was all mustard colored. In my head, I did nothing but call her Commander Data for the rest of the time that I saw her in that outfit. And I don't remember, I couldn't tell you her name right now. She was an interesting and intelligent woman, and right this second, I can't recall her name because that's the only thing that's stuck in my head. Be aware of what your clothing choices might be signifying in terms of the culture that you're part of as well, too. So any human being who looked at that outfit who was part of the nerd culture would have looked at it and said, you look like you're part of the engineering staff. So, and not in the good way. Don't wear clothing that is overtly feminine. When I say overtly feminine, what I mean is piles and piles of romantic lace goth wear. I mean anything that is bright and flowery. I mean anything that is wildly pink and cupcake-like. And this, remember, I'm giving you some rules that you may or may not like. And honestly, I don't really care if you like them or don't like them. The idea here is to let your brain shine through and not your wardrobe. And the truth is, I've seen a lot of people wear some stuff that's highly questionable and pulls attention away from their skill sets. So that pink cupcake look that we're talking about, that is something that women often do very often. And it can often be misinterpreted as creating a presence, a professional one, that is more female than professional. And as has been said in a couple of the seminars that I've been part of and by some great guest speakers, if you are female and in a situation where you're dressing yourself for your interview, you can flirt your way into a job based on your clothing choices and the way that you comport yourself. Don't do that, because then you have a job that you flirted your way into. If you were in a situation where you have nothing else to wear besides a pink flowered dress and you've got not a penny left on you, then email me and I'll give you a hand. I will give you the $3 to buy a pair of slacks down at the Value Village. But until then, avoid the clothing choices that could be seen as frilly or lacy. It's not appropriate in a professional workplace environment. Dress 1 degree nicer, not 10 degrees nicer than the people that are in the building that you're in. I've heard some anecdotes told about people that show up at Amazon, Google, and Microsoft in suits. Their fate is not pretty because it means that they don't understand the culture that they're working their way into. I posted on the internet about, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, no, 2 or 3 months ago, I posted something that maybe I shouldn't have posted, but I'm going to repeat it here anyway. I said, if you have something like happykid90@hotmail.com and that's your professional email address, then I'm probably not going to hire you. I'm probably going to skip right over you. What you've done is shown that you have a lack of awareness about the kind of culture that you're going to be participating in. And inappropriate clothing choices are the hugest signifier that you don't understand the group of people that you're about to join. If you walk into a room and you are a technical person and you see 6 guys in there in t-shirts and jeans and 1 woman in a suit, you do not assume that the woman is an engineer who is overdressed for the day. What you assume is that she's the project manager and she's non-technical in nature. The way that you dress signifies a lot of information to people. So the next part, are you changing yourself when it comes to dressing differently than you normally would to be in the workplace environment that you want to be in? Imagine yourself wearing a button-down shirt and slacks and nice shoes to an Amazon interview when you have no intention of wearing this at any day for the rest of your life, and you will wear t-shirts and shorts the rest of your time there. First of all, grow up. Honestly, grow up. If you don't want to be a professional, maybe you shouldn't be trying so hard to be one. If you don't want to look like a professional, if you don't want to act and dress and wear like one, and wear the clothing that displays your desire to be part of this workplace that you're in. And there are technical workplaces where the outfit that you should be wearing is t-shirt and shorts. If you don't want to wear t-shirt and shorts, don't work there. Don't try to be part of that company, because you're showing that you don't have the desire to be part of the culture that they're creating. So I don't care what the outfit is. I don't care if everyone has a habit of wearing hats on Friday. If you will never wear a hat on Friday, maybe there's something about that workplace that you don't get and don't really want to be part of. So just remember that when it comes to the style of clothing that you are adopting for this interview, that if you're wearing something that you wouldn't wear on an everyday basis, you don't want to work there anyway, and frankly, they don't want you. They don't want someone who's presenting themselves falsely. So wear something that you think is appropriate for the situation, and once especially you've gone and taken a look at the office, and they'll have a better idea of what it is that you are and aren't willing to put up with. Now, great benefits and a great salary will make you tolerate a whole hell of a lot. But, all right, the next part of it. Oh, and the last thing that I was going to note when it comes to, are you being true to yourself when it comes to dressing differently? I don't know how many of you folks have ever been to the symphony or the opera, but have you seen the musicians in the pit? You've seen them on television probably. Every single one of them is wearing black, a plain black suit or dress usually. I don't know too many musicians who choose to wear sober, plain black clothing on a day-to-day basis. Most of them are doing their absolute best to burn your eyeballs out. And yet, this is what they want to do for a living. They want the joy of playing in a symphony or in an opera or being a professional musician in a group like this for the rest of their lives. And as a result, they've chosen to understand that they need to adopt the dress and the culture of the workplace they want to be part of. I mean, every one of them is a special snowflake, and yet somehow they're all still wearing black. So the third part. Here's the question I've been sort of running my way towards, which is, what do you wear? I'm going to mix this up slightly and tell you first, what do you wear? And finally, how do you find it inexpensively? What do you wear? You wear slacks, you wear plain shoes, you wear comfortable socks, no open-toed anything, only wear closed-toe shoes. You wear a plain shirt and a minimal amount of jewelry, if any. The subject of religious jewelry has come up when it comes to the things that you should be wearing in tech interviews. I do not have a strong opinion either way on whether or not to wear religious jewelry. If you choose to wear whatever kind of signifier of your religion around your neck and it's small and discreet, I don't know anybody who's going to have a problem with that. If you are someone who openly wears signs of your religion, such as something like a veil, or you could perhaps be a Russian Orthodox woman wearing a long skirt that's very identifiable in terms of dress, then that is something that people are often more aware of when it comes to their own biases and are better able to address in themselves. Often it's actually the more subtle indicators of someone's religion that can cause an unconscious bias in someone's mind. If I have any preference, then my preference would be to not wear any kind of religious jewelry whatsoever. In general, I don't think it's very appropriate for people to wear or keep a lot of religious jewelry around them or paraphernalia around them at work anyway. When we live in a more tolerant society, when everybody can get along, swell. Until then, we live in a culture where there are one or two very dominant forces in terms of politics and religion, and it can often cause problems for people who are not part of that larger and more dominant religion and set of politics. So, what to wear? That religious jewelry, keep it discreet if you're going to keep it. If you feel like it's appropriate, you can hide it under your clothing. Coco Chanel had a great rule. Before you leave the house, take 2 things off. What that means is there are people that often have a habit of over-accessorizing. Get rid of anything that is jangly, that is beaded, that makes noise when you walk. It could be something as simple as extra beading on a shirt, fringe, anything along those lines. No. Don't wear those things. You can take a look at basically the way I dress for everything. This is a black cardigan and a black t-shirt underneath it. It's very plain because it's intended to let me speak, not my clothing. All right. If you have no plain shoes, no plain shirt, and no plain slacks, there are simple ways to get them. But before we jump into how do you find things like this inexpensively, the skirts issue. I get into the biggest flame wars over this one, and yet I'm going to strongly assert here that it's just not a good idea for women to wear skirts to a technical interview. The reason for this is you will often find yourself needing to crawl around on the ground to plug in wiring, to plug in cabling. If you're going for any IT position whatsoever, don't do it. If you are someone who's a developer, you still might find yourself on the floor looking around for a plug. It is too easy to misjudge a hemline on a skirt. To go too short means that you're dressed inappropriately. To go too long looks frumpy and out of fashion and might strike someone as odd looking. And if you go with a currently in style skirt, what you're wearing is a knee-length pencil stripe skirt, which is not only tough to move around in and get comfortable in, but you don't really want to spend 12 hours to 16 hours a day in a knee-length pencil skirt. It's uncomfortable, so don't do it. I wear skirts quite a lot, and yet I don't wear them to work almost ever for that reason, and especially not to interviews of any kind. There are folks who have longer legs. My colleague Liz is one of these people who strongly disagrees with me on the skirt wearing thing. And she says, I can't find pants that are long enough. If you can't, there are tricks and tips that will help you with that. So now that I have taken a look at the first impression that you want to create, the question of psychology and whether or not you are changing yourself and representing yourself inappropriately, and finally what it is that you can wear, let's figure out how you wear these things inexpensively. Let's be honest, you're looking for a job right now. Okay, so here's the big trick to use. You go to the mall, you look for an Express, a Limited, a Gap, and a Banana Republic, something along those lines. You should have a couple of those in any local mall near you. Each one of those clothing stores has several different kinds of pants. Usually pants are the big issue for most people. Several different kinds of pants and shirts. Go in and look for a pant, something like the Editor pant, and you'll find that in, I think, like Banana Republic or something along those lines. If you find the brand name, the line of pants that they have, you can try them on, find the correct one for your size, for your height, and then you walk out of the store and you go to eBay and you find some used. I have gotten pairs of pants like that for $1.50, $3 before, and they work perfectly well. They're the exact same pants that someone's worn a couple of times and put in the wash. So that is the way that you handle the pants issue cheaply. The second way that you handle this, and this is going to be the same for just about everyone, when it comes to a shirt, the only thing you have to be concerned about is whether or not it buttons okay in the front. It's very rare for me to find a shirt that buttons without a little bit of that gap that happens in front. These are the kinds of things that you're going to check the night before. So to find something like that inexpensively, go to a place like Value Village or Goodwill and try on essentially every button-down shirt they've got. If you are someone who is a bit larger, or you are having something like the same issue that I've got, you probably want to make sure that you have some kind of tape or eyelet hook that you can sew into the front of your clothing. You can also opt for something that's a plain cardigan or a plain t-shirt that you put some kind of jacket over the top of. Avoid jackets as a matter of course. Find a belt, again by going into Goodwill or Value Village, and you'll find probably something within $1 to $5 that will work just as well. Any kinds of shoes that you have will probably work reasonably well if they're plain and black. Don't wear high heels. Don't wear anything that is spiky. Don't wear anything that is attention grabbing. Wear something very sober. In fact, what I'm going to do, before I open this up to questions, I'm actually just going to show you my wardrobe. It's going to be easier. Take a look at this. Okay, I have a home office here, and this is basically what I wear. There you go. This is about as simple as it's going to get, and you can find something like this at any Goodwill, any Value Village, anything along those lines in any hometown that you're in right now. These are button-down white shirts. These are black cardigans. Ignore the awesome collection of hats up at the top, because those I don't wear to tech interviews. That's strictly weekend. But you can see there that it means that I've got very simple choices that I can dress up and dress down, and that is an option that everybody's going to have, which is keep it as simple as possible. Who's going to remember a black cardigan and a white shirt and some plain gray slacks? No one's going to remember it. So you have an opportunity to let your face and your personality and your intellect shine through, as opposed to what it is that you're wearing. Last couple of rules: be comfortable. You could be spending all day long with these folks. Be as comfortable as you possibly can. Don't wear tight anything. And last but not least, have somebody that you trust, maybe who doesn't know you as well as your friends and family, eyeball your outfit before you ever go anywhere near a technical interview and say, truthfully, what it is they think of it. And that will about do it for the portion of this that I've got prepared. I've got about 18 zillion questions that folks sent to me via email and via Twitter, but I'll also open it up to the questions over here on the side. Um, I see at least one question already, but I'm not quite sure what that one means. So I'm going to leave that one alone, unless we are fortunate enough to have somebody here from Russia today. All right, let me pull up this one. Okay. Oh, right. This is a question that I've been asked on several different occasions. What do you do when you are someone who is of larger stature and you want to look as appropriate as possible in a technical interview without some of the same options that other folks might have to assume that there's between a size 4 and a size 14 just available to them down at the Value Village and the Goodwill? Your very first option is to, again, go to something like a Lane Bryant or a chain store like that that's going to have sizes that are larger. Same thing goes for, I think it's called Men's Casual XL now. It used to be called the Big and Tall store, but they've rebranded it as Casual XL, and I know that a lot of the men of my acquaintance shop there. You can go there and find those brand names the exact same as you can with a Gap or with the Limited, wherever. Find your brand and your style there, and more specifically, find the name of the line that they're referring to. They'll have a whole line of the, I don't know, the Shelley cardigan or something like that. Whatever name that fashion line has given it, figure that out, because that will be how eBay will have it listed online. The second thing is to remember that, unlike in a lot of other situations, if you're someone of larger stature, you have the exact same set of rules that I've just given to everybody here who might be a size 8. The reason for that is the idea is to be noticed for who you are and for the skills that you bring to the job. So you can just wear plain black and plain gray all the way through. You're going to have in a lot of cases that I've seen when I've gone shopping with several friends of mine, some great options at Goodwill and Value Village that aren't there for people who often scour them for basics. You're going to have some great options out there. I would say that if you are someone who is larger and has trouble finding clothing in ordinary chain stores like a Limited or an Express, that your best option, again, is to go to somebody who can offer you a genuine opinion and make sure that everything that you're wearing looks appropriate from all angles. And that can happen if you've tried on an outfit but not really worn it around before you've gone to the interview. This is a rule for everyone. That interview outfit that you want to wear, you need to wear it for a full day before you take it into the interview process. If you don't take it into the interview, if you don't take it around town and see how it works on the bus and a chair at lunch, you're going to find some uncomfortable things that happen as you try to sit down or cross your legs or relax as you're sitting at a computer table. You'll find perhaps that the black jeans that you are wearing slip around on plastic chairs and that it's wildly uncomfortable. That's happened to me before. You will find, and this is a truly horrific one, that whatever lines or seams are in the garments, that they don't line up well with your body and you end up looking a little bit like a pincushion. That one has happened to me before too, because really, why do they make clothes for 10-year-old boys? So make sure that you've dressed yourself in advance and taken yourself around town. That is the best way to find out if you're going to be comfortable all day long and if you feel like people are happy with the way that you look. Question number 2. I got this one, I believe. Oh, someone DM'd me on Twitter, I think, on this one. That is right. Okay, this one is, I have, and I had sort of addressed this a little earlier. I have clothing that I wear on a daily basis that is religious in nature. I'm assuming, given the question that was asked, that it was probably someone who practiced a religion that required women to wear a veil. And her concern to me was, does wearing this make me seem like I am not as technically aware and adept, since I know you say to tell people to wear what they want to wear every day on the job and what they think is going to be appropriate for the workplace? The first answer I have for you is, screw this workplace if they can't deal with the fact that you have a religion and a personal life. The second answer that I have for you is, there are a lot of options for people who have appearances that they like to maintain and have found issues with getting jobs as a result of it. The single greatest way I've seen someone parlay what they do into a job is something that is repeated every day. Get good at something, give it away for free on the internet, and have people come to you. At that point, it becomes far less about what it is that you're wearing and making that first impression, because you've already made your first impression. Anyone who's approaching you already knows who you are, what you look like, what you wear, and they're prepared to handle that. This goes back again to the notion of being a professional. First, if you are not willing to dress like and behave like a professional, stop trying to be one. Second, if you are dressed in a way that makes you comfortable and it seems wildly inappropriate for the workplace that you want to be part of, perhaps you don't want to be part of that workplace as much as you thought you did. So a third part of my answer to someone wearing religious clothing or something that they cannot get rid of and yet somehow sets them apart, an excellent example would be someone wearing a turban, is you have an opportunity to make your personality shine the same as everyone else does. And that again goes back to personal branding, the way that you've handled yourself in the pre-interview phase where all they care about is what they hit on when they Google you, and the way that you conduct yourself when you first meet them. If someone is truly being intolerant of the way that you dress and would have a problem with you wearing the paraphernalia of your religion, then not only do you not want to work there anymore, but I kind of want to know who this place is. All right, I've got another question here. Don't forget, too, you can ask questions in the side of the Google Hangout here, unless that's more folks coming in now from YouTube, by hitting the Q&A application. I received a question this week about, well, I addressed most of it already, but the question I have is, what do you do when you have changed your personal appearance rapidly? And I believe in this case the question was about a weight change with very little money to handle the situation. There are several different options for you. Dress for Success is an option for you. Dress for Success is a charity that exists in almost every city around the country, I believe, at this point. And Dress for Success, people often encourage persons who are of larger stature to donate professional clothing to Dress for Success. So you will have options as you go to a place like that. That is a great place to get an opinion. It's a good place to find something that you can wear. And often it's just one or two things that can make an entire outfit. If you just have one simple button-down shirt or one shirt that is comfortable enough and long enough that it extends over a pair of reasonably neat jeans, there are not many programming jobs out there that I know that would have a problem with the way that you would dress right then. There are going to be some workplaces that have cultural issues with that. And if you've gone and done what everyone out there, I don't even need to say this at this point, you better know how people dress at this company already. If you've gone to this company and just wandered around a little bit to see how people are dressed, and they're all in suits or ties, and you not only cannot afford a suit or a tie, you can't afford a decent pantsuit, you can't afford the shoes that everyone seems to be wearing there, and you have no desire whatsoever to wear that stuff for the rest of your life, then you don't want to work there anyway. If you are actually in a state where you are worried about the money coming in and you just need to get a job there, then I do understand. Again, hit up Dress for Success, and that is your option that I've got for you at the moment. It's going to be harder to find professional women's gear and even professional men's gear in larger statures at thrift stores. So you may be in a situation where you want to look out for something like the Macy's annual sale or half annual sale. You can usually find reasonably inexpensive clothing in, for instance, the women's section there. Even if you're much younger, the women's section will often have clothing for $20 to $40 for separates if you find it on clearance. It's not great, but you can usually find some black or gray pieces that way. If you were concerned about money again, stick with monochromes: black, gray, white. Don't pair black with black unless you really know what you're doing and it's the same or very, very different textures and the exact same color. But you can pair like a black top with gray pants or pinstripe pants. That'll work just fine. There's no location I can think of where that would not be an appropriate outfit. Don't overdress. Underdress if you think that that's the way that you're going to walk around this complex in and be happy. And if they hire you, they hire you. But the true key here is the two different kinds of people that come to me for advice on dress are people that can't afford to dress well and people that don't want to change the way that they dress because they feel like it would be representing themselves inappropriately, like they would be untrue to themselves. For the first people, I have nothing but empathy for you. Email me if you're still having problems, and I will find a way to give you a hand. I can put you in touch with people locally, and you can always go to your local Hack the People group and get some advice there. That is a place where you can get total confidentiality and opinions. For the second group of people, grow up. You want to be a professional? Dress like one. And that, I believe, will do it for today. Again, this has been What Not to Wear to a Tech Interview. And I will see you folks next week, again at 3:30, and I look forward to talking to you then. Have a lovely day.